Okay, so lastly, let's talk about this strategic family therapy. So the concept of this is like Manishin Haley observes the interaction among family members, attending particularly to power relationships and to the ways parents deal with power. What separates structural from strategic approach is the attention given by strategic family therapies to symptoms. So the main focus is on the symptoms. For Haley, symptoms are an acknowledged way of communicating within the family system, usually when there is no other solution to a problem. So, for strategic therapies, the symptom is often metaphor for a way of feeling or behaving within the family. So, the main focus of this goal is not what is happening on the past, what has happened, or it is not the past tense. It is the present tense. So what is it strategic therapy? Strategic therapy is not a person lying on a couch describing what kind of inner turmoil or thoughts he or she is having or experiencing. So the best way to describe this is to describe what therapy, what is not the main description of this. So, what past childhood experiences contributed to a sense of self, or how a particular psychological issue could have arisen from past experiences? So, with this, let's just say that the main focus of our therapy is what is happening when we enter the life of the client. Once the client approach us that they have the problem, once they undergo the treatment, on the very first time that we encounter our client, that is the first and that is the main start of our observation of the things that we need to understand about them. We are not going to dig deeply on the past, but instead observing them as we are with them in that moment. So, strategic therapies are problem solvers and solution finders. They are the referees and coaches, not the spectators, passively observing the action played out before them. They aren't concerned with where or how the problem started or only how to address it and how to solve it at this point in time. So just like what I mentioned, um, we are not focusing on the root of the problem. We are not focusing on my problem when I was a teenager, my problem when I was 14, 15, 16, and now I am 22. Just not like that. Our main focus is what is our problem in this present life? How are we going to deal with these things? So, and how are we going to make a solution? How are we going to solve it? That is the main focus of the therapies of strategic therapy. So the main goal of this is helping family members show love and caring in interventions and less on power in the family relationship. So we are more on in showing the love and care, not the power of each member. So the techniques, what are the basic techniques that we can use? Because the presenting problem is the focus of strategic therapy, tasks to alleviate the problem or symptoms are its cornerstone. So the main goal is to reduce all the problems and focus on those symptoms that that is the cornerstone. That is the main thing to solve. So generally, tasks are of two types. Straightforward tasks, where the therapists make decisions and suggestions to the family, and paradoxical tasks for families that may resist changes. So there were two options. The first one is, let's discuss this straightforward task. When strategic family therapists judge the family they are trying to help is likely to comply with their suggestions, they may assign a straightforward task. So, if ever the family is open for suggestions, if ever the family is really asking for the things that they may do or they might do, we can use this straightforward task. So, in strategic family therapy, the therapist is clearly the expert and she may make use of her status as an expert to get family to comply with her instruction. So, let's just say that with this task, the power is on us, on the therapist. Why? Because we are the one to um make decisions. We are the one to make suggestions. We are the one to instruct them, to help them, to teach them in our way. We are the one who is making instruction and giving it to them. So, designing tasks, particularly metaphorical tasks, takes experience and confidence. So, with that, specifically this confidence, we really need this. So sometimes, however, straightforward tasks, whether they are metaphorical or direct, may not be sufficient to bring about change. So either the two, sometimes it is not sufficient to bring about change. There are not exact changes. That's the um, very different from the two therapies that I first discussed. Because with the first two therapies, they're really into the past things and which is different from the present, which is the focus of this one. So, next is paradoxical tasks. Basically, paradoxical tasks suggestions are those that ask the family to continue the behavior for which they are requesting help, but in such a way that whether they comply or not, positive change will result. So with this paradoxical task, if ever that your client doesn't want any suggestions, or maybe they think that you are authoritarian, you are the one who make rules, then you can use of this paradoxical task. Because with this, we are just asking of what specific behavior that they have. And we just want to ask them to continue having that behavior. Why? Because if they continue those behavior and then we can observe and then they can also observe why they act that way. So, even though they comply or not, the positive change will result. The therapist is trying to get the family to decide not to do what they have been asked to do. So, families are often confused by why the therapist is not asking them to change. So, even for example, I am the client, I am a family member. And then the use of this paradoxical task is being implemented to us. So, while we are doing this therapy, and then my therapist doesn't ask for any changes, I will be confused. I wanna ask why you're not asking for any changes. I thought I am undergoing a therapy. But just like what I mentioned, let's just say it is a self-realization so that we can realize our mistakes. We can realize the things that we are doing. And use of paradoxical directives takes experience and confidence on the part of the therapist, and they are used only when the family resists straightforward suggestions. So, just like what I've mentioned, this if ever that the family doesn't want any suggestions, this is the second option, the paradoxical task. Because if ever the family is ready for any or open for any suggestions, why do we need to let them do the thing? So the best way is if ever the straightforward has been rejected by the family, this is the best option. Each strategic family therapy intervention is different depending on the therapist's observation of the family structure. So, interventions, whether they are straightforward or paradoxical, are thought out clearly and carefully. So, even though each, either the two, we really need to make that carefully and clear because we don't want our client to think and expect that we are just assuming on something, that we really don't know the main problem. We didn't realize what is the best solution. We just instruct them, we just help them with a little thing, but we are not solving the whole problem. So even either two of these tasks, we really need to done it to do this clear and carefully. When the therapists first start to use such intervention, it is suggested that they do so under supervision so that they can discuss their observation of family, power struggles, and coalitions. So, if ever that we are doing this therapy, since um, we are not dealing with the past, we really need to have a guidance from some other therapies, from some superiors that we have for the proper implementation of this therapy. Because since we are the one to analyze the problem with that scenario only, not only with the past, we really need a guidance so that we can help them develop, have an improvement and accept every changes that they have and solve every problems that they may have. So, okay, guys, so that's the end of my report, and I hope you really learn a lot with the for some of my examples and explanation regarding this, and for some details that is not clearly explained, I'm so sorry about that. I really apologize, but thank you so much for watching and have a great day.